This is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I'm the big time right here on the Value of Wrestling, right here on YouTube with Dark Side of the Ring, episode 3 of season 5, titled What Happened to Terry Gordy? Yes, we're going to talk about the legendary great WWE Hall of Famer Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Most people would know him, part of the Fabulous Freebirds. Terry Gordy, the final flight of the Freebird, um, aired last night. And what a story. We got to hear from Jimmy Garvin. We got to hear from Ray Gordy, the son of Terry Gordy, who is better known in WWE as Jesse, part of the team of Jesse and Festus, teaming up alongside with then Luke Gallows. That is who played the Festus character. Of course, he also came back as Slam Master Jay for a brief time. Ray Gordy didn't want to use his dad's name because those were big shoes to fill. We also got to hear from Randa Gordy, the daughter of Terry Gordy. Um, Richard Slinger, who was the nephew of Terry Gordy, all different aspects of professional wrestling. This is a great story. We talked about his early career when he came into professional wrestling, only the age of 13. Took to it like a flash, and learned on the road. Of course, in the early '79, Gordy began wrestling under his real name. His real name and formed the Fabulous Freebirds with Michael P.S. Hayes and Buddy Roberts. Later added the group Gordy and Hayes had met while training in Mississippi the prior. In Georgia Championship Wrestling, the Freebirds were there and went over the territory. They feuded with the likes of Tommy Rich, Junkyard Dog, Calvin Sullivan, Austin Idol, and Ted DiBiase. And one of the first acts to come out to entrance music, it talks about how they decided to call themselves the Freebirds, how they used Leonard Skinner's Freebirds to be their entrance song. Uh, One match on a WTBS Georgia Championship Wrestling show showed the Freebirds taking on the Junkyard Dog and Ted DiBiase. Towards the end of the match, Gordy gave DiBiase 4 consecutive pile drivers, which led to DiBiase being taken away. Ambulance in late '81, the Freebirds had their fallout. They would reform back in '82 when they would wind up in World Class Championship Wrestling, where the Freebirds all of them blew up. This is talking about the great feuds between the Fabulous Freebirds and the Von Erichs. The Van Erichs needed these hill groups like the Freebirds and made huge history there. While in WCCW, Terry Gordy would learn from Killer Khan how to perform the Oriental Spike, which is really awesome. And then he would go over to All Japan Pro Wrestling. He would team with Stan Hansen and later Dr. Death Steve Williams as the Miracle Violence Connection. During that time, he also held the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship on 2 different occasions. I believe he became the first American. Eventually, the Freebirds would show up in WWE for a very short stint after they missed the show and were drunk. These boys drank and partied as hard as they could. They were thrown out. Eventually, Gordy and the Freebirds would go to Universal Wrestling Federation, the former Mid South Wrestling. They would be there for a while before winding up back in WCW and Jim Crockett Promotions throughout the late '80s and early '90s. Gordy would also perform for many other acts during this time from '89 to '95, United Wrestling Association, Universal Wrestling Federation. And he would team up with the Freebirds on Global Wrestling Federation, where I first got to know the Freebirds because I was a fan of Global Wrestling Federation. Of course, after It was Gordy would eventually go on to wrestle in All Japan Pro Wrestling and face off against Misawa in an incredible match, a 5-star killer match. Go look up Terry Gordy versus Misawa. It was an insane match. It was amazing. It was awesome. Um, Unfortunately, on August 18th, 1993, traveling to the United States for Japan, Gordy overdosed on the plane, from which he almost died of pain medication. He slipped into a coma for 5 days, ultimately suffering permanent brain damage. And as a result, he had to relearn. He had to relearn how to talk, walk, and wrestle. And actually wrestled his nephew. His nephew, who he taught to wrestle, helped him learn how to re-wrestle. And then in '94, he had a small reunion with the Freebirds Global Wrestling Federation. But many of the greats, like even Jim Cornette, whether you like Jim Cornette's commentary or not like Jim Cornette's commentary, Jim Cornette is one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling of all times, and we all have to give Cornette respect. And he had Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He brought in Gordy, realized Gordy was never going to be the same. Gordy would eventually appear in ECW for a time, Extreme Championship Wrestling in '96. And eventually he'd get back into WWE thanks to Michael P.S. Hayes, who was then known as Doc Hendricks, begging to get him a job. He did become the Executioner and teamed up with Mankind and aligned himself with Paul Bearer in a feud with The Undertaker. He was a part of the In Your House Buried Alive match on October 20th, 1996. And then had a match with The Undertaker at In Your House 12. It's time. December 15th, when The Undertaker defeated the Execution and Armageddon Rules, and Gordy left the promotion early the next year in '97. Bruce Pritchard talked about the Executioner gimmick, and even his kids agreed that McMahon had his doubts about Gordy could being effectively used or being Terry Gordy, and so they used the mask to protect his legacy. They didn't want to taint his legacy, so this is why he was put under a mask called the Executioner. A lot of people may have been upset about that, but that was the reason WWE chose to do that, to protect his legacy, to keep him from tarnishing the great legacy of Terry Bam Bam Gordy. This man was a legend and incredible. I mean, some of his matches, if you haven't gotten to see a Freebird match with Terry Gordy, if you don't go watch this documentary and just watch some of the things he was doing and the viciousness of his powerbomb, his Japan run, his All Japan Pro Wrestling run, I mean, it was just incredible. He became one of the few monster Americans in Japan Pro Wrestling that really cemented his legacy. They would be deducted, the Freebirds, so Terry Gordy is in the WWE Hall of Fame, as the Freebirds were inducted at the WWE Hall of Fame in April of 2015. Terry Gordy's list of accomplishments runs deep, from being a Triple Crown Heavyweight Champion, 2 times World Tag Team Champions, and World's Strongest Tag Determination League Champion with both Steve Hansen and Steve Williams in All Japan Pro Wrestling. He was a NWA Georgia Tag Team Champion, NWA National Tag Team Champion with Michael P.S. Hayes, and Jimmy Snuka in Georgia Championship Wrestling. In Global Wrestling Federation, he was a Tag Team Champion with Jimmy Garvin. He won titles in Mid-South, NWA Mid-America Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame of 2015. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, he was the most improved wrestler in '86, the Tag Team of the Year in '81 and '92, once with Michael Hayes, once with '92 was with Steve Williams, ranked at 31 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in PWI 500 in 1992. In 2003, he dropped 5 places in 36. He is ranked number 3, 16, and 34 of the top 100 tag teams in PWI years, along with Michael Hayes, Steve Williams, and Stan Hansen. Remarkably, he was a heavyweight champion in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, held several titles in World Championship Wrestling, several titles in WCW, is a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. Legendary talent. And this video, this documentary, The Dark Side of the Ring, they're really diving into Terry Gordy, the party, and then getting into the pills, ultimately passing away in 2001 due to an overdose. Well, not due to an overdose, to a cardiac arrest, likely because of the drugs. His kids loved him. They said he was good when he was there. He was gone a lot, yes. But it was a very good video package. You couldn't help but not fall in love with Terry Gordy. Go watch Terry Gordy versus Misawa in All Japan Pro Wrestling. That match was dang, these two men brought it in the Japanese style. Terry Gordy learned that Japanese style, brought it back to America. It was even more impactful. Some of Terry Gordy's chops, if you go watch some of these matches or clips, are just as lethal as Gunther. And we know that guys like John Moxley and Eddie Kingston credit their style for being what, part of what Terry Gordy, um, what Terry Gordy did. They were, fans, and that they're a big influence by him. Um, This is another one. I mean, the Buff Bagwell one was great. If you don't know who Bam Bam Gordy is, Terry Gordy at all, this was a great episode to watch about Terry Gordy. It is very interesting, very in depth. It'll make you fall in love kind of with Terry Gordy and want you to go back and reminisce of the glory days of Terry Gordy, of the Fabulous Freebirds. Go watch some of these All Japan Pro Wrestling matches with Terry Gordy. They were incredible. It was just a really good episode. Um, they handled it with great care. Awesome to listen to this and learn about Terry Gordy, because he would skip school to become a wrestler. We can learn that in this. Gordy's behavior wasn't abnormal. He was a great talent. He had a problem with pills in Japan. One point we talked about Dr. Death Steve Williams in here. Of course, Dr. Death no longer with us, so this is all video footage. Dr. Death used to talk about Gordy would overdose, and one time on a plane, he tried to get him to come out of it. Well, one time on the plane before when he went to the coma, but several times before he'd been able to slap Gordy and wake him up. Incredible. Gordy, being a great talent that he was after suffering that stroke, totally forgot how to wrestle. Had to relearn how to do it all. Terry Gordy did a shoot interview. He sat down with the interview with RF Video in 1998, where you could just tell he wasn't there. It was sad to see. Very tragic about the execution storyline, the run, what happened there. Ray even talked about how he almost got the team with his father in a tag team. Didn't happen. And Vice did a great job. Dark Side of the Ring, the people putting this episode together. This was a good episode. If you haven't gotten a chance to go watch the Bagwell one, definitely go watch that one, and then definitely watch this. I mean, this season's been great. John Tinta, Buff Bagwell, Terry Bam Bam Gordy. All these have been great episodes that have really, really made you fall in love with these wrestlers, stars again in their own light. With John Tinta, you just had to love the big man. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, and of course, Terry Gordy no longer being with us is a tragedy too. So we just hope that we go watch and we root for Bagwell, Marcus Alexander Bagwell, to be who he is, and we hope to see something special from Bagwell as we move forward. Can't wait. Happens. Anyways, this is the Value of Wrestling on the Big Time. This is a Dark Side of the Ring review for Season 5, Episode 3. Go check it out. It's streaming on different platforms. You can find it. Dark Side of the Ring, Season 5, Episode 3. It'll be worth your time. I thank you for being here. Make sure you like this video. Give it a big thumbs up. Ring the bell for notifications so when any new content or videos come up, and whenever we go live, we'll be live later this evening with a coverage of AEW Dynamite. Tonight, me and Mr. Clark will be right here to review everything that's going down on Dynamite. It is a loaded, heavy card. We'll see how it plays out. Do they hit the mark, or do they just fall short? Can they load up a card but not make it work? It's all that we're going to talk about later tonight, so make sure you're here. And please, ladies and gentlemen, hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Value Wrestling family. We are growing. We want to grow. We're continuing on a pace that we can't stop, and we need your support and help. We thank you, everybody who's already subscribed. Get this out to your friends, family, and everybody that you know that loves professional wrestling. Let's get there. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Big Time, this is your Dark Side of the Ring review show. Stay tuned for the next one.